أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين إنه خير ناصر ومعين. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين وسيد المرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah that we're gathered here on this night of the most blessed month of Ramadan. I want to begin tonight's speech by sharing with you a personal experience. As you know, I used to live here and then I moved to Iran to begin my studies in the Hausa in Qom. And the first thing that you do when you go to Qom is that you, as a foreign student, is that you learn the language, because you have to get around and you're living in a foreign country. So they have Farsi immersion program where you go through and they teach you Farsi. Now, I remember when I was learning the language, I realized that it wasn't just a matter of learning, like, what is the word in English, what is the equivalent word in Persian for English words. Because, as I was put in practical situations where I'd go to the store, take taxis, and meet people, it's not just enough to just translate. You have to know the way things are said in that language as well. So I recall that when I would go to a store, I had problems. It was a bit difficult for me. First of all, the one difficulty is the stores there aren't, at least the traditional stores there aren't like the stores here. Stores there, like, you go and everything is behind the person, the store clerk. And you have to know the word of the thing you want. You say, give me that thing, give me that thing. You can't go and pick it yourself. And so you have to know the words for the things, and that was one difficulty that I came across. But the point I want to make, the second difficulty, is that when you go to some place like a restaurant or a store here where you want, in America, where you want something from the store clerk, you don't say, give me something or give me that. That would be considered rude, right? What you say is that I'd like to, for example, I'd like some toothpaste, I'd like to get a toothbrush, that sort of thing. Or can you please give me, that type of thing. But I'm looking for this, can you help me out? But you never directly say that, give me this. Because if you say, give me this, then that's considered rude. You say, I want this or I'd like this. But in the Persian language, in that culture, you have to say, give me. That's the way you say it. You say, give me, like toothpaste. And it's not considered, bad to say that. And if you say it some other way, people will look at you a little bit like, well, they'll understand you, but that's not the way it's said. And the same thing in other situations. I realized that when I would take a taxi, like when you take a taxi, there's different circumstances that can come up, and you need to tell the taxi driver that you want to stop, or you want to go, or you want to get off here, or you ask some questions and stuff. It's not uncommon for people who are riding a taxi to give orders to the taxi driver, and the taxi driver is totally okay with it. Like, you can tell him that hold the taxi here. And if you command him, it's totally fine. It's part of the culture. So this led me to understand something, a fundamental difference that lies between the culture here and the culture there. The culture there, in the culture there, giving orders and taking orders isn't something that is foreign to the culture. It's very accepted. And people are used to that idea. From the time they go to school, from the time they're raised by their parents, from the time that they take taxi to go to stores, this culture of giving orders and taking orders is part of the culture. And so it's not hard for people to accept that. Now, let's take the same idea and let's look at it here in the West, in America where we live. Here, as I said, you don't order people around. You don't even order kids around anymore. Maybe in the in the 50s or something, it used to be like, the parents had strict discipline and they would tell their kids, you have to do this, you have to do that. But now it's the case that, you give your kids a choice. You ask your child, what do you want to wear today? You ask your child what they want to have for breakfast. We have waffles today or we have eggs. Okay? You ask them what they want to wear. Sometimes they'll tell you that, if it's a little kid, they'll be like, no, I just want to stay in my pajamas. Then you'll be like, okay, that's fine. You can wear your pajamas. Because you give them the choice, right? It's an individualistic society. It's a society where we're taught to make our own decisions. We're told certain principles and then we make the decisions. So, now that inshallah I've explained the difference, the fundamental difference that lies between the two cultures, let me come to the topic at hand, which is the rules of Islam. The rules of Islam, first of all, we have to understand that the rules of Islam are an essential part of Islam. Okay, they are the means by which we are going to achieve the purpose for why we were created, by following the rules. And inshallah we'll be talking more about that idea, about the wisdom behind them, what's the goal behind them in further lectures. But for tonight, I want to talk about this one point, which is that we're asked to follow the rules. We're told that you do this and you do that. When you get up in the morning, first of all, get up at a certain time in the morning and go to the sink and pour water in a certain way. Don't go up when you wash from top down. And you have to wash from above the elbow, so that you can get the elbow, and you have to go all the way to the fingertips. You have to wipe the feet, don't wash the feet, etc. It's rule and rule and rule. You have to dress a certain way, you have to clean yourself in a certain way, you have to pray in a certain way, and pretty much there's a whole set of rules. And a lot of what we learn when we go through Sunday school, and I'm sure the students today even, they learn that there are rules, and what are the rules and how do we apply them? So, this brings up an issue, and the issue is this, that if I come from a culture where I'm used to being told what to do, it's not too hard for me to follow the rules, because I'm used to it. And so you'll find that if you go to a culture or a family where things are run in that sort of mentality, you'll find that in general people find it easier to practice the rules. Now, as for the depth and quality of the practice, that's a different issue. We'll talk about that. But it is easier for them to accept the rules. On the flip side, when it comes to us who grow up here in America, because we have this sense in us of we want to be individuals, we don't want to be told what to do. We're not used to being told what to do. When we're told that we have to follow these rules, well, it can be problematic. And that's why you see people, for example, when you tell them that, okay, you have to make sure that you wash from top down, they'll be like, brother,